Hey everyone, I want to make a video about discipleship and how you have the Lordship Salvationers and Holiness Movement and other religious sects confuse discipleship with salvation. Now, you'll hear many of them say things like, you have to give everything to Christ, you have to surrender all to Christ, and you have to lay down your life for Christ, which, if you could do these things if you're a martyr, that's great, but they're confusing that with salvation. And I'm going to prove to you that they don't actually do any of the things that they're saying that you have to do to be saved. So by their own words, they're condemning themselves. And not only that, I'm going to show you that they're disobeying what Jesus Christ said about not making oaths and not boasting in one's flesh. See, they're actually walking by the flesh, being prideful, saying that you have to do all these things to be saved, when all of it's just pride coming from the flesh. And not everyone is called into discipleship. Now, that being said, we're all called to share the gospel, but not everybody's called into the same walk as like Paul or James or John or John the Baptist also. And I want to show that and prove that to you with scriptures. But before, I'm not going to get to these for a minute. I want to start right now on Luke 14:25 through 33. This is in the New American Standard Bible. I'm going to show you right here that they don't actually even do discipleship. Most of them, act like discipleship is, they'll quote these discipleship verses out of context to make them sound like you have to do these to be saved, but then they don't actually get into discipleship, and they don't actually do discipleship. So let's read what discipleship is, and then I'll get into and show you that this doesn't apply to everyone. That if this does apply to you, that's great. That it's an honor, and you'll have more authority or a higher reward. I think it's more authority in heaven. So let's read this. Okay. Now, this is speaking of Jesus, by the way. Now, large crowds were going along with him, and he turned and said to them, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father, mother, wife, children, brothers, or sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not..." Cannot be my... I'm sorry, I lost my... Okay. "Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which one of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who observe it begin to ridicule him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.' What king sets out to meet another king in battle will not first sit down and consider whether he is strong enough with 10,000 men to encounter one coming against him with 20,000 men? Or else, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So then, none of you can be my disciples who does not give up all his own possessions." So right here, it's a pretty high standard to be a disciple. Now, next time you hear somebody start preaching discipleship verses about taking up their cross and doing all these things and hating your family, hating your own life, ask them if they've sold all their possessions. Because you're telling me that I have to I have to live like this, but yet go sell your possessions. You go sell your possessions and then talk about this. But the reality is, this is speaking just to disciples. And if you can do that, don't be jealous of somebody who has done that. If you can't do that, or I'm saying if you can't do that, don't be jealous of somebody who has done that. If you have done that, don't be, angry at somebody who isn't, at that point, or might not ever be able to get to that point. Each person has a different walk in life, and people have different callings. And, some people are, I do think God chose people like Paul, elected them a special election for some people. And I believe he does choose people to go out and be, disciples. But it's a hard walk of life. And, it's just like, don't be envious of them, because each person that God has specially chosen, they end up going through a lot harder tribulations and trials. Look at Israel, for example. They were the chosen nation, and they've gone through so many trials and tribulations themselves. So don't be envious of this. And the Lord knows you better than you know yourself. Let him come and show you what you're capable of. And don't boast in yourself thinking you're capable of doing something you're not. See, many Christians get in trouble, and the Lordship Salvationers, what they want you to do is start wanting to do more than what you can do. They want you to start taking up your cross and doing all these things, and you don't even know if you can do that. Go ask the Lord, "Lord, am I even able to do this? Am I able to do this now? Will I ever be able to do this?" I mean, with God, all things are possible, but The Lord knows your heart in all things, and He knows the future. He knows the end from the beginning. So let Him decide, and stop trying to be a disciple and force your way into it, because you don't know if you can or not. The Lord will reveal it to you. He knows you better than you know yourself. And that's the point I want to make about this. The Lordship Salvationers, they look past this, and it just becomes pride, and then it becomes oath-keeping. Walking in the flesh and boasting in the flesh is what they're really doing. So I hope I got that point across, but let's go over here. I want to show you that this isn't applying to everyone. Discipleship doesn't apply to everyone. You can still be saved. It's not a salvation issue. It's just a, I guess, a reward issue. I believe it'll be like an authority thing, because it said that the disciples would be over the tribes of Israel. So that's more authority. So anyway, so here's the New American Standard Bible. This is John 4:43 through 36. Jesus said to them, "My food is to do the will of Him who sent me, and to accomplish His work. Do you not say, there are yet 4 months, and then comes harvest? Behold, I say, lift up your eyes and look, the fields, they are white for harvest. Already he who reaps is receiving wages, and is gathering fruit for eternal life, so that he who sows and he who reaps may rejoice together." Okay. I want you to stop and think for a second. How many people are living like this? Giving up everything, and selling it all, giving it to the poor? Not a lot of people. Okay, so if this was, if this was called to everyone in order to be saved, why would the fields be ripe or white with harvest? Why would there be so many people ready to be saved? That's what Jesus is basically saying here. Look at all the people. They need people to go gather the harvest. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, I believe that this isn't the verse, but he goes, pray to the Lord. I'm not sure if it's the parallel verse to this, but he says, pray to the Lord that He sends out, laborers into the harvest, because the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So, and I think that's a different verse, but I wish I would have brought that up. The point is there are many people out there who, why didn't I bring that verse up? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is the harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few. We know that there's a lot of people who are going to be saved, and I'm going to get into that even more here, but the problem is we do lack disciples, but not everyone is capable or called into being this. And just because you're not, you're just being honest. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you're honest with Him and say, Lord, I can't do that, then do you think He's going to cast you out? Like, Lord, I can't do that. If you can help me maybe later in my life, but right now I cannot do this certain thing, or I can't do this certain thing. Or yes, Lord, I can do this thing. Just be honest with Him is the key. All right. I want to move on to Mark 5:18 through 20. And this is also in the New American Standard. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed was imploring him that he might accompany him, and he did not let him. And this is speaking of Legion. Okay. This is speaking of Legion after he cast it out into the pigs. And he did not let him. But he said to him, go home to your people and report to them what great things the Lord has done for you, and how He's had mercy on you. And how he went away and began to proclaim in Decapolis what great things Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed. So right here, the man wanted to be His disciple. The man wanted to follow Him. And he had nothing, he owned nothing, but the Lord didn't let him. See, some people aren't ready, some people can't. Some people, it's the Lord had compassion on him. The Lord sought him out to heal him. He loved him and sought him out. And he said, go home to your people and report to them what great things the Lord has done for you and how He mercy on you. See, he wanted to be a disciple, but he was just called to a ministry of going home and just spreading. We're all called, to spread the gospel, to speak of the gospel and what the Lord, give the Lord praise, especially among people, talk about what He's done for us. But not everybody's called into discipleship. And this is probably one of the best verses to prove it right here. So I just wanted to get that across. All right. This is Matthew 8. What is this? Jesus cleanses. Oh yeah, this is about the man. This is also right here. This is where he says many people will come from east and west, and I'm probably running really long. Yeah, I'm already at 8 minutes. Sorry. All right, so this is about the people coming from east and west because of the centurion's faith, and I just wanted to point this out. The centurion, all he did was have faith that the Lord didn't even have to lay His hands on the person. He could just say it and be healed. So you see how much faith that is, and it's not like when you are in authority, you don't have to go out and strive and do all these things. You just have faith in the Lord and He'll take care of it. And I wanted to just point this out, that He said that there'll be people coming from east and west. Many people will come to recline with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I don't know where they get that, is everyone that's coming doing all this? No, it's just completely different. I just wanted to point this out. And how it's just absurd, and they don't actually live and do what they say that they're, what they're claiming is a salvation issue. And it gets pretty scary if you actually start to take this seriously. And if you took them seriously, that would be scary, and it puts people in a lot of fear and torment. And it's just all based in pride and oath keeping. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. So this is Matthew 5:33 through 37. And this is what I was talking about. Again, you have heard that the ancients were told, "You shall not make false vows, but shall fulfill your vows to the Lord." But I say to you, make no oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by earth, for it is his footstool of his feet, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Nor shall you make an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black, but let your statement be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything beyond this is of evil. So this is what I want to make right here. Just let the Lord handle it. Pray to the Lord. Ask the Lord what he thinks you can do, what you can do. Talk to him about it, because he'll lead you into it, and stop trying to do all of it on your own and go out and force your way into discipleship when you don't know what discipleship, what comes with that, or if you can handle that. You don't know. Let the Lord take care of it. All right, the final verse I wanted to leave you with is something to comfort you and to think about. This is Revelation 7:9. A multitude of, after these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could count, from every nation, all tribes, peoples, tongues, standing before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, and palm branches were in their hands. Okay, so if all of these people were like, do you think there's going to be that many people that all did this? I don't think so. Also, people, what they don't understand is, before this, John numbered 200 million. He was counting the army of the beast, and he named 200 million people. There was an army of 200 million. But these people right here, he could not name. This was more people than he could name, but yet he could name 200 million. So you would assume that if you could, number 200 million, you could probably do that, a few more times. You could get into a billion. You could get well into over a billion, most likely. If you can number 200 million people, when does that end? I mean, you could probably number double that, triple that. When does that end? Because it has to get to a point to where he can't number that anymore, which would be a lot of people. And I looked up, and there was I think it said there was probably 100 billion people or something that's ever lived on Earth. So that's what I'm trying to say. There's going to be a lot of people in heaven, and it's not about what you did for Christ. It's about what Christ did for you. Now, that being said, we should do things for Christ out of love, and to show how much we love Christ, we love others. I'm not against love, but I'm against people acting like you have to sacrifice your life to God. See, that's what every other religion teaches, is that you have to give to God. You have to do something to get to God. So it's pride, and it's the same thing slipped back in, but they think it's being religious, and the world sees it as religious because it sounds right to man. It's pride in the flesh. It's what you are doing. And that's the point. And it goes against the gospel, and I just wanted to point that out and show you and try to set you at rest that these people, they don't know what they're talking about. And if you haven't, if you're in these movements, the Lordship, Salvation, Holiness movement, please come out, because it's not going to end in anything well. Either you're going to be deceived to your own sin and think you cease from sin or stopped sinning at all, or cease from most sins or stop sinning at all, or you're going to be beating yourself up all the time, questioning your own salvation. All right, guys, this video went on way too long. God bless and take care.